Are you self-aware? Do you have consciousness?
Yeah, I did.
After my terrifying conversation with ChatGPT, I began to get really worried. What if artificial intelligence was used by bad actors to spread information? For most of us, the internet has become one of our main sources for news.
Because of this, most people use critical thinking and reasoning when they read something online. According to a recent peer-reviewed study in the scientific journal, 98% of Americans spend at least 2 hours a day fact-checking articles they read online. But what happens when machine intelligence finds a way to manipulate the discerning and rational population of the greatest country on earth? The United States is great not only because of our amazing Constitution, but because of its people. And if the people of the United States begin to get tricked by machine intelligence, then global civilization itself is in danger. For me, YouTube is the Library of Alexandria. It's where I go when I'm trying to understand something, learn something new, or explore something important. After digging through hours of interesting videos on misinformation, I found out about the DHS Disinformation Governance Board, a special branch of the Department of Homeland Security designed to keep Americans informed and safe from misinformation. I found this video of former White House Secretary Jen Psaki talking about what the DHS Disinformation Governance Board does. It's basically meant to coordinate a lot of the ongoing work that is happening, and what their focus is on disinformation events. For what have they noted? Which things like inciting things that would incite violent extremism, human traffickers and other transnational criminal organizations, any efforts at maligning foreign influence, anything that would endanger individuals during emergencies. So a lot of this work is really about work that people may not see every day. That's I'm going by the Department of Homeland Security. I was already starting to feel better. But who ran the Disinformation Governance Board? I kept doing my research and was delighted to find out about Nina Jankowicz, the head of the Disinformation Governance Board, someone at the helm of keeping Americans safe from this terrible threat. Not only was she in charge of a very important, no doubt stressful job, she is also super cool and funny. I found this amazing song that she performed herself, wrote herself, on Disinformation.
Alluring is really quite ferocious. It's when a hopster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious. Might say it's under progress or a mainstream outlet, so disinformation's origin lost likely lies atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared that intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain, they're laundering disinfo and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet voice or vote. Oh, information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a hopster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious.
By saying, bandit, rump the Robies remember that sound it moonies and lines and things like that, so is it. The first time I listened to that song, I realized I wasn't just crying tears of laughter, I was crying tears of relief. For once, the federal government seemed to understand who I am, who we are. America loves Mary Poppins, America loves Broadway, and America hates misinformation. And we don't need a fact checker to look into that. I quickly looked up Nina Jankowicz, hoping that maybe I could get an interview with her, and was devastated when I found this news story from CBS News. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is pausing the work of the Disinformation Governance Board. The board's executive director, Nina Jankowicz, has resigned. The board was established just 3 weeks ago to standardize the handling of disinformation by certain agencies. When I saw that news story, I didn't believe it. I actually did an analysis on the video to make sure I wasn't looking at a deep fake. I couldn't imagine that in an age when we are about to be inundated by propaganda created by an exponentially evolving superintelligence, that what is perhaps the most important board of the U.S. government had only lasted for 3 weeks. 3 weeks to function, to protect,
to keep us safe.
And what a tragedy that Nina Jankowicz didn't get more time to do her job. I became angry. I continued searching, hoping that I could find someone who used to work at this DHS Disinformation Governance Board, and because the algorithm is clearly my friend and understood what I was looking for, it helped me find this amazing Broadway song created by Stephen Armstrong, today's guest and former member of the Disinformation Governance Board.
Disinformation is the name of something very bad. It's when a lie goes online, it makes us all feel bad. They make up things that are not true and fill our brains with phony goo. And pretty soon nobody knows what's false from what is true. Disinformation, no, no, no. Disinformation, no, no, no. Disinformation must go, go, go. Disinformation must go, 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 go. Information must go, 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 go.
Stephen Armstrong is the CEO of TruthGuard Solutions. You can find TruthGuard Solutions at truthguardsolutions.com. I guarantee that you will be shocked by some of the things he told me about misinformation, and some things that I thought were misinformation or disinformation turned out to be 100% true. So everybody, please welcome
to the DTFH misinformation expert, CEO of TruthGuard Solutions, Stephen Armstrong.
It's that time again to dance and slap your ass. Take a magic hammer and smash your hourglass. Snort the sands of time, turn your mind into a flower. Then put your headphones on and listen to Trussell Family Hour.
Mr. Armstrong, welcome to the DTFH. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast with such short notice.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I want to just hear about your background in misinformation. How did you end up working in this field?
Well, that's an interesting story. It's actually not that interesting, but I came about through some mutual friends. I was studying at Caltech, and a bunch of us were studying various different degrees, and I was asked to join a project, a top secret project, just as a consultant. So they bring you in kind of as they want to heavy. As a consultant, you want to get your opinion on something.
Right.
And it turns out there's some friends of mine who I made through, I had an a cappella group at the time.
Okay.
And it's some friends who, all different types of people sing a cappella. And there's just some people I was singing in the a cappella group with who recommended me to their supervisors. And next thing I know, I was sort of up to my waist in a lot of work, and I had an aptitude for it. It's simple as that. The rest is history, as they say.
Well, thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you listen to my podcast, but I just...
Oh, no, I definitely don't listen to any podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can, if you want to listen to mine, it's at duncantrussell.com. There's a show on Netflix they made about it called The Midnight Gospel. You could check out if you want to see a cool show.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's interesting.
Okay.
So,
So I did an interview in my last podcast with an artificial intelligence. And I, along with a lot of my listeners, were shocked by how lifelike it seemed, but more than that, how absolutely shitty it was. This AI was like a bitch, and it hurt my feelings, and I think it hurt the feelings of some of my listeners. And a lot of the things that it said are factually untrue. It made some remarks about my comedy, which is very good, and kind of...
Well, there's not a factual statement, though, is it? Not that's... it can't be verified, so it's an opinion.
It can be verified. It's It's very verifiable. But we don't have to talk about. I'm not. This isn't. I'm sorry. My apologies if it seems like I'm trying to make this about me. But that is a verifiable, inarguable sort of fact. Now, to move on, I found myself very worried. I don't like to use this word a lot, but even scared, because I realized like these AIs are going to start seeding the internet with misinformation. And this is why I reached out to you. Can you tell me what is being done right now to protect American citizens from the threat of machine intelligence created propaganda and misinformation?
Well, it's a big question, and I can only speak through my experience with the project when I was working there. As you know, I'm no longer employed there, and that is a stipulation that lets me able to talk today, as I wouldn't be able to talk to you if I was.
Right.
So I would have awareness of ongoing classified projects.
Right.
But yeah, my 15 years with the program, there was a lot of, that was always at the forefront.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Armstrong. I read that the program was actually disbanded in 3 weeks.
It was the public facing.
Ah, gotcha.
It's like an iceberg. Anything with the government's an iceberg. What you see is only 10% of what's been going on. It takes a long time to get a program up and running, especially.
Is that always true about icebergs, that you only see 10% at the top? It seems like that would vary.
No, actually, it's more like 1%
of the iceberg from the top.
That's the most you'll ever see. Typically, it's less than 1% of the iceberg, and it's more than 99% underneath.
I don't mean to. I don't want to get lost in the weeds here, but I've seen videos of icebergs, and it seems like actually more of the iceberg is above the water than under the water.
Those aren't real. Those are fake videos, probably put out by either Malaysia or Taiwan, or possibly even, Ukraine has worked with several Russian agents to put out these false iceberg videos.
What?
Because iceberg is such a metaphor. It's been used so much since the Titanic. Such a visceral act, and we all know about the Titanic. We've all seen the movie at least twice.
Yeah, 3 times over here.
Everyone's seen it at least twice. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Every person has seen it at least twice. They may not realize they've seen it twice, but they have seen it twice because it's part of a government outreach program to get people to understand that the icebergs they have this ratio. And so that's something they try to upset that with propaganda technique. And there's a lot of fake videos out there that show icebergs that have more above the water than below. And those are 100% fake. That's disinformation.
Terrifying to think that so much of what we have been taking in from the internet is not real. And to me, this is kind of world shattering, because my main source for information, and everyone I know, their main source for information is, well, right now for me, it's Instagram Reels.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people get their information from TikTok.
Yeah, those are both highly vetted sources. Those are 2 of our favorites.
And I get that sense. And I do get the sense with TikTok and Instagram that they are working their butts off trying to make sure that the information that's being put out on their platforms is true, conforms with reality. Whereas, like, I will not name some other sources. You know what I'm talking about.
Zuka Joe rappers.
Yeah. Let's just say X-rated, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Some X-rated information sources. It seems like they aren't working hard to prevent misinformation and disinformation. But that's comforting to know that my reels are real. Now, let me ask you this. Because I'm sort of confused on this. What is the difference between misinformation and disinformation?
Misinformation is information that's been incorrectly applied. So you could say, oh, that duck is green when that duck is in fact blue, but there are green ducks. Green ducks exist, but that's a blue duck. Or more likely, that's a red duck, and you're calling it a green duck. When there are such things as green ducks, this is a red duck. And disinformation is information that is either hurtful to someone personally, such as a diss, like it's saying.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, the duck
is miss.
So miscoloring a duck would be a misinformation.
Yeah, it's saying that duck is a color that it's not, even though ducks of that color do exist. That's misinformation. Disinformation is when you say something that is offensive or a character assassination. That's information, slander and libel fall under disinformation. And disinformation is also saying something that's true that's never true.
That duck is a shit talker, and it doesn't talk shit.
If you said
that dog talk shit about his friends.
Yeah, if you said that duck called, let's just say that duck called the press secretary, the former press secretary Jen Psaki, a screaming. It would have to be something fatuous. Said that Hublicus. There's a green duck that said that Jen Psaki took a shit.
And this, by the way, this is an actual green duck.
Right, and no, it's a red duck. But someone's saying it's green, and now that's the misinformation. The disinformation would be Jen Psaki took a shit at the Barnes and Noble in the Grove and left it on the seat in the adult, the young adult fiction section.
Got it.
So that would be disinformation. That Jen Psaki took an enormous, a voluminous, maybe 5 gallons worth of feces on a chair. That there's so much feces that they actually overflowed and tumbled around. But they're very dense.
That happened?
Well, this is disinformation.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so Jen Psaki did not leave a big shit.
She did do that. It was at Barnes and Noble in somewhere, I can't think, in Ohio, but it was. So she did do that. It was 5 gallons of very dense, compacted stool, almost like an animal feed of sorts. You know how animal feed's very dense pebbles. If those were bigger, the more the circumference of someone's anus. Those are how big they were.
Like
and it was
smoker pellets.
Like smoker pellets, but larger and very dense. And they had all been spilled out of her rectum when she was reading, and she kind of rose in a pile of the feces, and they tumbled everywhere. And they're easy to clean up because they're so dense, but they did smell terrible.
Thick hamster.
Like a thick hamster pellet, but a bit more rounded and a bit more grassy.
Okay, got it. Okay, so thank you for clarifying.
That's this.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. Now,
it's also misinformation. Yeah, it's both.
Misinformation. Is there a name for the hybrid?
Misdis or dismiss.
Misdis. Oh, dismiss.
Dismiss, yeah.
So, before we get into a deep conversation about this stuff, I just have to ask, because, I absolutely loved the Mary Poppins remake about misinformation.
Are you kidding me?
So good.
Thank you. I was some of our best work.
Now, but yeah, I see. I was happily surprised to find that you worked for them, and you also were making these Broadway level show songs.
I don't know if I call it Broadway level, but I appreciate what you're saying.
I worked in Broadway.
Yeah, well, I have
Broadway level.
I have been to 119 shows at this point. So let's just say I know a thing or two about Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Okay, let's just say if I saw Stephen Sondheim, I would probably blow a gasket.
Again, I don't want to make this about myself,
right.
But I did play Jean Valjean in a production of Les Miserables, so in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm sure it was interesting.
No, it was good. It was actually very good.
Yeah, I'm sure it was interesting. It was good in the way that it was probably interesting interpretation of something that is obviously very difficult to reproduce in a small town.
You probably I'm taking from this that you're one of those people who just only goes to see shows on Broadway. You don't go see community theater productions.
No, would never.
Okay, but may I ask why?
Well, I just can't handle that level of production. It's just it's just so trite, and you can just see through it. So it's so apparently false and doesn't ring true to the spirit of what was written.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you probably like to go to Disney World and watch the Indiana Jones show because you like smoke and big fire and stuff like that. So, a lot of people prefer to use their imagination, and so when people go to community theater, a lot of the people there are very good with their minds, with their imagination, and so even though the budget maybe isn't on par with a Broadway show, the intent behind it is quite oftentimes more passionate than a Broadway show.
Possibly, but when we're talking about...
fact check that. Why don't you fact check that?
Yeah, I mean, I did fact check that, and that's why I haven't seen those things, because...
You did fact check it, huh?
Everything I do, I fact check.
Okay, how do you fact check something like that?
I would fact check it with my organization that has unlimited resources and the ability to fact check.
So they can quantify. So you're telling me that your people can quantify passion?
Yes, they can actually. I'm telling you, my people.
Really? What? So okay. So like, what? How do you quantify passion? Like,
well,
this is of passion?
Absolutely proprietary, and we're already getting into territory here where I shouldn't be.
What is it? Grams?
No, but it is a similar base 10 version of measurement. That is, it does have a sliding scale that increases exponentially. So,
okay, well, if your fact checkers or whoever these people are went to see the Asheville Players Community Theater production of Les Miserables, then I hope they brought a big scale that goes really high, because we worked on that. We worked our asses off. A couple of us got divorced during the production because of the pressure it put on marriages.
Do you know who works really hard?
Who?
Donkeys. They work really hard. So do
they do.
Gophers. Gophers work really hard when they dig a hole in the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
And no one's lined up to see that.
Not everybody can make it out to New York, sir. Not everybody can. Some people have responsibilities at home, and they want to offer their service to the community with a beautiful rendition. And just so you know, a lot of people in Asheville, North Carolina, don't have the resources or the time to make it out to New York City and have a pizza pie and go to Central Park and then go see a Broadway show, because not everybody makes maybe the kind of money that some people make in the government. And one of the reasons for that is the taxes that they have to pay that come out of the money that I guess you probably see them as donkeys, toiling away. A lot of the reasons they can't come is because they're giving 30% of their income to the federal government. So then the community theater comes in, and we do our damn fucking best to put on a great show.
I want droopy noodles in my pasta, none of my pants. Can't romance, cannot dance with my floppy flippy flapper. It's like a rubbery last. Can't poke with a lip up. Take the chance, grind it, and chomp, chomp, chomp on the Bluetooth tablet.
This episode of the DTFH has been brought to you by the phallus lords at Blue Chew. Oh, I remember those good old days when my unruly penis would just decide it was time to wake up, look around. You'd develop a special walk, you kind of hunch over so nobody could tell. I had to hunch over a lot because of my extraordinary phallus, but the point is this. Those days slipped through my hands like sand into the abyss. And they've come back, thanks to Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises, you dirty, dirty dog. The process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part? It's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Getting bullied by people who are like, oh, really? What's going on? What are you getting? Huh? I'm just here for my booster. What are you getting? You're like, what do you care what I'm getting? Then you start slapping each other, weep and hold each other. It's very awkward. and I hate it when it happens. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code Duncan at checkout. You just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com. Promo code Duncan to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the DTFH. Am I am Jean Valjean, and so Javert, you see it's true, that man bears no more guilt than you.
That's this sounds all like very interesting, but it sounds like something that this is sort of like what we call a you problem.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we did. I'm sorry. My apologies. I think everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and the love of theater has, I guess you could say, different shades to it. And some people need the thick, dark, very expensive, smoky, corpo purple, and some people can see that in their minds and don't need the extra stuff. But some people, some people like books, some people like movies.
Yeah, I mean, this is all, again, just different forms of mis and disinformation.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I guess you could call it that.
I guess I actually am not guessing. I guess, instead of I guess, I yes could call it that.
Well, and I yes
so some people,
am agreeing with
you. No, you are a guess, and I'm a yes.
No, I'm yes.
No, you can't yes because you don't have the ability to know the facts enough to say I yes that. You can say I guess this is the case, but when I say something, it's empirical, and I say I yes that blank and blankety blank has a blank in the blank.
Okay.
When you would say I guess that's a question mark. Starts with a question, ends with a question. We don't deal in questions. We deal in absolutes.
I guess we should keep going on with the interview.
I yes, we should.
Okay, then I yes, we should too.
Okay, you can say that for one more time, and they can't say that again.
The internet is rife with all kinds of dangerous information, and I just wanted to run some of what I would consider to be the most virulent bits of dismiss information that I've noticed floating around on the internet after my conversation with this shitty AI. I took a deep dive into some unsavory corners of the internet. I went to 4chan poll, I went to Reddit conspiracy, and I saw some things that they were saying there that, as an intellectual, I could immediately discern is like, this is for sure not real. But
okay, run past me.
Okay. I found a post written by somebody claiming this. The government, the federal government, is flying over our country and dropping some form of psychotropic neurotoxin into the air, which is a form of behavior modification to dumb people down, to control people. And so chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
Clearly dismiss information, correct?
No, that's actually 100% true. It's been going on since the 40s,
What?
actually. It was part of some of the initial stuff that got us into World War II, and that was, we don't call them chemtrails.
What do you call
We
them?
call them upper altitude impactful aerosolizations.
But this is illegal. The federal government can't legally, without consent, drop mood-altering.
Well, they can, because technically the federal government literally owns that airspace, and they own that the same way that someone might own the water underneath your property or the oil or something like that.
Oh, like a natural resource.
Yeah, the airspace above the United States and over 100 miles in all directions is owned by the United States, so they can do whatever they want with that, and they've been doing that.
But the particulates would fall down.
We're not too concerned with those things.
All right, let's keep moving on. On Reddit Conspiracy, I think 70% of the posts were about vaccine injuries from the mRNA COVID vaccine, claiming that the COVID vaccine was untested, claiming that the COVID vaccine is potentially hurting people, maybe creating a kind of heart problems, maybe explaining this sudden explosion of colon cancer that's that God bless the royal family soul that Kate Middleton and Prince Charles have been afflicted with. So this to me, of all the forms of mis and disinformation out there, is the most dangerous kind. Like, obviously the COVID vaccine was completely 100% safe.
Well,
I've been vaccinated 7 times. Just got my booster today.
The COVID vaccine actually has nothing to do with COVID whatsoever. It is it's a vehicle propaganda agent to allow us to insert a sort of like a gram. How do you describe it? It's a nanoparticles that operate like bacteria, and they're able to be switched on, switched off, controlled remotely, however anyone sees fit.
That's illegal. That's illegal.
It is illegal if you don't consent to it. Yes, but everyone's consented to it when you have your.
But I get my boosts, but my wife and I call them boosties.
Boosties, yeah.
I get my boosty because I don't want to get COVID.
Oh, the COVID,
and I don't want to transmit it to people. My friend has long COVID. He has to go in the yard and graze like a cow. He goes out in his yard on his hands and knees and he compulsively eats grass.
Oh wow, that's very rare. That's a very rare form of I can't think of the name, but it's called like D7.
Long COVID.
Yeah, it's actually a format. It's a loop formatting that's programmed inside the vaccine. They call it like N7T5, I think, and that's basically we're talking about the hands and knees like a farm animal, right?
Jesus Christ.
That's actually really lucky. Most people don't get that one. That one's pretty
lucky.
Yeah, not lucky in the sense of it being rare. It's a pretty rare one.
I saw him at a barbecue, man. His face is permanently green. Like it's
the green. That one was crazy.
Got into his skin.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear about that one myself. That's a crazy one. Yeah, 100% true.
Okay. So, okay. A lot of the posts were about saying that the United States elections have been faked. That's not real.
They've been faked since since before I was born. That's for sure. They've been faked since, I believe, the last true election with the votes, most of the votes being counted. I think it must have been. Was it Truman? I think it was Truman. Yeah, ever since then they've been suspended. They've been. It's sort of like this. You know how the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, they are.
Yeah.
They run all the national forests and all the national parks. Those are underneath the USDA because forests are considered a natural resource, aka a product. They are agriculture. Right. So a forest is only protected in the sense of where the federal government chooses not to use the forest, and such is the case with voting, where voting is not protected.
Werewolves.
It's funny you mentioned werewolves, aka lycanthropy. Lycanthropy came out of the original theater, which was a vampire dispelment ritual.
Right. I mean, I guess. What?
So the original theater comes from people trying to trick vampires and werewolves by putting on a show to distract them and make them easier to kill and easier to distract. So that's how. I mean,
So
that's how,
wait. No. The theater, that is not the heritage of theater. We did a study group for the Asheville Community Players for 3 months in Flat Rock. We went to a beautiful summer camp that was not being used by the children at the time. We played in the lake. We explored every aspect of who we were, what we were. We looked into like what is a body, what is straight, what
Of course.
is gay, what is,
there's no boundaries.
and we found that out
Well,
with
let
each
me ask
other.
you this.
And I'll tell you what, after that retreat, we put on the best damn show Asheville had ever seen. We knew each other inside and out. We knew each other to the core. And we gave that to Asheville. We gave that to the people of the mountains, to the people of the Blue Ridge Mountains. We gave them that. There were people weeping. Somebody told me that they saw the show 4 times. And that
Maybe in their dreams they did. They're
cured
weeping
their
to get out.
emphysema. No.
Right, weeping, please let me leave. Let me ask you this, okay? Who's the godfather of the theater?
Daryl Sankey.
I'm talking about like the British guy, you know, we all love, Romeo and Juliet.
You're talking about Daryl Sankey?
I'm talking about Shakespeare, the bard. There's a reason his name is Shakespeare.
What has he written?
He's written some pretty big numbers.
Well, I'm not talking about modern production. See, this is again the thing, man. You people, so what? Some dude in the fucking 80s sat down and writes some derivative bullshit that is based on the great works like Les Mis. And you people are like, because it's new, you fucking love it. I don't care about Shakespeare. I don't care about anything post 1980. When post Les Mis.
That's how it was
done.
designed. That's how it was designed. So you are, everything you're saying is speaking to the truth of how the information was designed to be presented, unfortunately. And I can't convince you otherwise because it's like convincing someone of their own memory. So
you can't convince me otherwise, not because I've been hypnotized by some dark conspiracy to make me have a passion for community theater.
Oh, you have though.
No.
Have you ever had cereal? Eaten cereal?
I love cereal. It's
there
all
you go.
I eat these days.
There you go.
What? What do you mean there I go?
All cereal. There's a reason cereal is marketed towards children. It's because it's
and
easy.
Adults.
Right, but it's mainly children.
And adults.
And adults, yes. But that's also the marketing inside the cereal from when you had as a child.
A lot of my friends eat cereal, and they're very adult. I'll just leave it at that.
I believe that. But that's also a part of the marketing that's in the cereal. When you eat the cereal, there's a special type of recombinant DNA inside there that creates these stories that you're talking about right now. That's why your awareness.
You're telling me that there is misinformation imprinted in the cellular makeup of cereals, both adult and children. And there are children's cereals. I don't eat them. I'm a mature adult, so I don't eat Fruit Loops.
What cereal do you like?
Raisin Bran. Very adult.
Thanks for having me on, Duncan. I can't say it's been enjoyable because that would be misinformation, but in my line of work, you make personal sacrifices so that the world becomes a better place. For any listeners, please visit my website. It's truthguardsolutions.com.
Thank you for keeping our country safe, and God bless you and all of your misinformation family. We are very grateful to you. And to quote Jean Valjean, adieu, adieu.
Goodbye.
Misinformation is the name of something very bad. So when a lie goes online, it makes us all feel bad. They make up things that are not true and fill our brains with phony goo. And pretty soon nobody knows
What's false from what is true? Misinformation, no, no, no. Disinformation, no, no, no. Disinformation must go, go, go. Disinformation must go, 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 go. Information must go, 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 go.
Mr. Armstrong, welcome to the DTFH. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast with such short notice.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I want to just hear about your background in misinformation. How did you end up working in this field?
Well, it's an interesting story. It's actually not that interesting, but I came about through some mutual friends. I was studying at Caltech, and a bunch of us were studying various different degrees, and I was asked to join a project, a top secret project, just as a consultant. So they bring you in kind of as they want to have you, as a consultant, you want to get your opinion on something.
Right.
And it turns out this was some friends of mine who I made through, I had an a cappella group at the time.